What's going on, guys? It's Mikael back with another video. And in today's video, I'm back and I'm going to be doing a gear and deck setup showing you guys what I use on my legendary fire. Okay, I'm going to start off with the gear and then I'll move over to the deck setup after we're done with the gear. But yeah, right now I'm using the Firestarter's hood over the Zigzag's headgear because, well, there's a specific reason, and I'll show you guys like after I'm done showing the rest of the gear. But yeah, I'm using the Firestarter's hood, and then for the robe, I'm using Zigzag. It's just way better than Waterworks. Honestly, there's no reason for you to use Waterworks. Even if you were like not going offensive, I still think it's better if you use the Zigzag gear. And then for the boots, you're gonna want to use the Professor's Horde Pack boots. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the best for like every school, except for maybe like if you're going with Glenn Demings for like an ice or like a Jade Life or something. But I think that's like the only other thing that people might use, but it's not good for a fire really. And then for the wand, I'm using the Staff of the Flashing Blades. Before you get this, you can get like this, the Headmaster's Glowing Staff. Like while you're going for the Professor's boots, if you get lucky enough to get this, then you should be set, honestly, and you should be able to like start doing fire PvP. But if you don't get this wand, then I guess you could use Sky and Hosta, but it'll bring your crit down a lot, so I don't really know if it's like worth it. But I would definitely go for this one if you're starting out. But if you do have crowns to spend, then you can go for the Sinbad pack wand, because that one's really good too. It's better than the Professor's Horde pack one, definitely. And then onto the Athame, I'm using the Duelist Fatal Razor. Right now I have all the max jewels on the Duelist Fatal Razor, but yeah, it's just the best one you use. Before you get this, I don't know, no, you can just do tourneys before. Yeah, if before you do any ranked PvP, you just want to do a bunch of tournaments, and then you'll be able to get this before you do any ranked PvP, because it's like really helpful. It gives you all the pips and the crit and the damage, so that will really help you out. And then the amulet, right now I'm using this amulet for the health, but you could use a life mastery. With my strategy, I don't really need to heal though, so I don't really use a life mastery, but I just go for the one with the most health. Plus it gives a cloak card, which isn't that bad. And then the ring, you want to go with the Duelist Daredevil ring. Right now I don't have the max jewels, so my pierce could go up by 2%, but I'm not really worried about that. It's only 2%. It could help me, but it's not the end of the world. Right now the Duelist Daredevil ring is just like honestly the best for pretty much most levels. But yeah, legendary especially, there isn't really a replacement. Just do tournaments before you can before you do rank, just to get the Duelist Daredevil ring and the Duelist Fatal Razor. But then here, the pet, this is kind of important. You're gonna want to, with my strategy, you're gonna want to have a Maycast Infal pet. You don't really need Shatter, but like if you can get a pet like this, a triple double with Maycast Infal, that'll help you a lot. Because I do have a decent amount of other pets I could use. I have this triple double Shatter pet, but I mean Infal and Shatter on one pet is really broken, because if you get a Shatter cast, then it's kind of over, because they literally lose a turn. It's kind of broken. But yeah, I use this one sometimes for quick matches, and then I also have this one. I haven't used this one at all yet, but I'm gonna probably put on a 6% Fire Giver Jewel, and then I might try that in an attorney, but I haven't really done any tournaments on this guy in a while, so I might try doing that sometime. Okay, but then here for the mount, this is actually kind of important. You're gonna want to use the rock mount for this setup that I'm using right now. You pretty much we don't need the rock mount, but I'll show you guys another setup after where you shouldn't really need the rock mount. But yeah, for this one you're gonna want to put on the rock mount. It gives you that 3% extra pip chance, which will get your pips to 100. But yeah, also for my deck, I'm using the 1v1 the Pit Viper's Array of Venom. It's from the key boss in Zigzag, and you're gonna really want to go for this because it'll put your accuracy up to 25%, which means you can't fizzle like any of your spells except for like Hephaestus, if you have Hephaestus, because Festus is 70%. I don't think anything else is 70%, because I'm pretty sure Brim is 75, right? Yeah, Brim's 75, so I don't think you can fizzle anything else, but it brings your accuracy up to 25%, so you kind of do need this if you don't want to have a chance of fizzling. But yeah, here I'm going to show you the stats now. It's 93 damage, 39 resist, which is actually pretty decent for a fire, 25 accuracy, which is perfect. You can't fizzle unless they like mantle you or something. And then 272 critical, which is 49%, which I mean isn't bad, but it could go up a bit, but it's 50-50 pretty much. It doesn't really matter. And then 10% pierce, this can go up to 12%, so if you do get all 3% pierce jewels, then you can get it up to 12%. And then the pips, 101 pip chance, which means you can't fail pip. So if you don't have the rock mount, then you can just if you don't have it, you don't really need it. It means your pips will be at 98. But here also, if you take off the rock mount and then you just put on the zigzag hat, this will bring your pips up to 100%. But then the only downfall is that you do have the chance of fizzling, plus your resist goes down by like 2%, but mainly it's the chance of fizzling. But if you don't have the rock mount, I do think this is better, because most of the time you're going to be hitting when you have infoul, and if you have a make-ass infoul pet, then honestly you'll have max accuracy most of the time, so you don't really need the extra 2%. But if you're going for like a finisher hit and you want to make, and you don't have infoul up right now, then you kind of do want to make sure that you're not going to fizzle, because that like really sucks if you fizzle the last hit that it would kill him at the end of the game. That's the main reason I'm using the Waterworks hat. Someone told me about it, and that you could have max accuracy and max pips, but when I used it, actually let me take off the rock mount. When I used it, it only gave me up to 98 pips, but then I realized you could just farm for the rock mount, so I ended up farming for the rock mount and I actually got it, which is pretty lucky. So I do get max pips and max accuracy. Okay, now I'm gonna move on to the deck. So right now I have I have 6 stun blocks in. You really need to pull it because I don't have that many inside. I only have 2 in my side deck, so you kind of want to pull in your main deck really early in the game. I could put another one, but that ends up clogging your deck and you just get a bunch of stun blocks when you don't need them. So I think 6 is pretty good. Then I have 5 tower shields. These are mainly for the spirit schools because I don't have any spirit school set shields. I should honestly get the life ones because it gives set shields to myth and death, and myth and death are probably the 2 spirit schools that are actually good, because life isn't that good. It can like it can't really hit you that hard. They might be a heal spammer, but they're not going to hit that for that much. Then I have 3 volcanic set shields. It's a set shield to storm and fire. These schools are really good. Storm especially, it can do a lot of damages randomly. Honestly, most of the time they'll go for an insane if you set shield, but it's still good in case they don't. And then fire is just really good at this level too. They can Ifrit and stuff, so you do want to have set shields for both of those schools. And then next I have 5 colossals. I just have these in so I can enchant my cards. But yeah, so next I have 5 fire elves. I mean, the fire elves, you just need them because with my strategy, you kind of want to go for a fire elf to take off most of their shields, and then while there's a fire elf on them, if you can get like an open round where you get them the shield and then the fire elf is still going around, you can get some open rounds where you can just blade or like even tower shield if they have enough pips to do something. So you kind of just get open rounds by doing a fire elf overtime on them, and then you'll end up like setting yourself up for a good hit. And even if they shield while the overtime's not on, you can still just keep fire elfing them until they make a mistake. Next I have 3 blades. I mean, you do kind of need the blades. They're mainly used for when I'm going up against Jades, because I don't blade that often. I usually use my blades in my side deck because I pull them more often than I do in my main deck. But yeah, these are mainly for when you're going up against Jades where you need a blade stack, because Jades are pretty broken at this level. It's kind of hard to beat them. That's what most of my losses are to, just Jades, just heal spamming Jades. So I might honestly even try training in the Doom so I can just have another bubble that'll cancel out their healing, but I don't really know yet. But then next I have Glacial Shield set shields. These are for Storm and Ice. They're both pretty good schools. Storm, like I already said, most of the time if you set shield they'll just go for the insane, so it's like pretty much 80-20 at that point. But then Ice is really good at this level. They have a lot of health, but they don't do that much damage, but it's still good if you set shield in case they go for like a Lord of Winter or something. And then next I have 2 Festus. You don't really need this if you don't want to craft this one. I don't use it that often, so if you don't want to craft the Festus, then you don't need to, but I think it will be really helpful for these next like when you're in higher rank, because you'll go up against a lot more Jades, and then it'll be able to get a hit off on them and change the bubble at the same time. So I mean, I feel like you don't need it, but it's really helpful. And then next I have 3 Krampuses. I mean, Krampus, I honestly use it for mostly Jades. My deck is set up for mainly going up against Jades, and then my side deck is just a bunch of hits. But then yeah, these 3 Krampuses are like honestly helpful. If you just keep one and then you have a minion up, sometimes your minion will go for like a smoke screen, and then you can go for a Krampus on the same round, and then it pretty much guarantees a fizzle because most Jades don't have that great of accuracy. So then if you go for that and then they fizzle, then you're pretty much in a really good position to kill them. Next up I have 5 Fire Elementals. These are really helpful because, like I said, they go for smoke screens, plus they'll even go for Glacial Shield. So if you're going up against a Storm or a Ice, mainly Ice though, because you don't really want a Fire Elemental against against a Storm, because Storms will just hit you too quick and you won't be able to deal with all the damage if you waste around going for a minion. But yeah, mainly Ice, because it'll just set shield a lot for them, and then sometimes they don't even go for the kill on it, which is kind of dumb because most of the time you want to kill a minion, even if it's like, if you don't think it's gonna help you that much killing it, but it probably will end up helping you if you just kill the minion. Next I have 2 Fire Dispels. These are mainly for when I go up against fires. I haven't used it, I don't think, that much, because I don't really go up against that many fires anymore. I did when I was lower rank, but right now I haven't been going up against many fires. It's mostly just like Ices, Storms, and like a lot of Jades. So I could honestly take these out, but I'm still keeping them in just in case I do go up against a fire. Next I have 1 Steel Charm. I kind of keep this in if I'm going up against a fire, or if I'm going up against a balance, any like Savage Paws me or something, or even just goes for a Balance Blade. I've never seen a balance go for a straight up Balance Blade, so I don't think it would be useful for that. But if he does go for a Savage Paw, then this is definitely helpful. Or even if you're just trying to take a blade away from a blade stacker, but I haven't really used it that way, so I don't think it's that useful using it like that, because you kind of just waste a turn and a pip. Next up I have max bubbles, because honestly you need bubbles against most schools. It's mainly for Jades, but some schools like Ice, they'll just bubble a lot, so you really want to keep the bubble in hand so you can just counter their bubble right away. But yeah, mainly Jades, honestly, you want to just change the bubble whenever they go for Sanctuary, so you just want to have max bubbles in. And then I have 5 Infections. These are for Jades and just people that have life masteries in general. Next I have 3 Thermic Shields in. Once again, these are really good Ice and Fire set shields. Ice, you go up against a lot of Ices at Legendary, plus they have the extra set resist from the level 66 crafted robe, so it'll help you go against them a lot easier. And then fires are really good at this level too. You'll see most of them at lower rank, because I haven't seen that many at higher rank, but there definitely is a lot of fires, so you do want to keep those in. Then lastly, I did just recently add 2 Elemental Blades. These are mainly going up against Jades, because you're not really going to want to waste a pip on a blade if you're going up against a normal attacker legendary. So these are mainly just for Jades, because you're going to want a blade stack, and if they enfeeble, you have an extra one in case. But yeah, you're going to want these mainly against Jades. I haven't really used them against anything other than Jades yet. And now my side deck. Right now I have 2 stuns. These are really good when they don't stun block. It's usually not really the smart players that stun block. It's usually like the higher rank, like level 80s that don't stun block. So you can use those on those. Most of the time you won't be able to use it on another legendary unless you do it really early in the game, because most people stun block really early in the game. So I mean, that's really all you can use it on, is higher levels. But then next I have tuned stun blocks. These are mainly if my main deck's failing and I can't pull it in my main deck, then I have to like mass pull in my side. So honestly, I probably could take these out and replace them for something, but I do have these in here just as an insurance in case I can't pull in my main deck. But then next I have 4 tower shields. These are just good because if you need to pull a shield and you can't pull it in your main deck, and that's especially against spirit schools, because if I can't pull a tower shield in my main deck, I don't have any set shields for them either, so I'm gonna have to try and pull for one in my side deck. But then yeah, I have 2 triages. These are really good against ices, like life if they're a hitter, because they can spiny soar. And then what else, there's some other schools that can do some overtimes. So yeah, those are really good against any school that can do overtimes. Like myth, they can basilisk. I don't see many myths going for basilisk. I see them like try and take off your stun blocks and do a Medusa. But yeah, next I have 4 Brimstones. These are just good for a 4-pip hit. They do a lot of damage and they give you a trap, so you just really want to have these as like a 4-pip hit that will do a lot of damage. And next I have 5 Ifrits. You really want to have a lot of Ifrits because you need to pull it when you need it. If you don't pull an Ifrit when you need it in the match, then you're pretty much gonna lose, because most of the time when you need it in a match, it's you're trying to get the weakness on them so that they can't kill you that round, and then you're trying to get the damage on them too. So you really need to pull it when you're going for it. And then next I have 3 fire sharks. These are really good for killing minions and just a finisher hit, so I recommend having at least 3 in. Next up I have 3 fire blades. I kind of just use them when I have a free turn to blade up to add damage onto my next hit. So yeah, I honestly use these a decent amount because I usually elf, and then if they shield again I'll just blade or I'll tower shield. It depends on what they do, but yeah, or like what their pips are looking like. So yeah, I usually just use this after I elf or something and they shield. But yeah, next up I have Festus. I only have 1 in my side. Honestly, I could take out the Sunbird now and just put in another Festus, because I can't fail pip anymore, and I usually only have these in for when I could fail pip. So yeah, I'm gonna do that right now. I'm honestly gonna put in another Festus. If I'm being honest, if you don't have max pip chance yet, and you're still just trying to rank up to get the Staff of the Flashing Blades, then I would keep in the Sunbird definitely, because the Sunbird is definitely useful if you fail pip and you need to go for a finisher and you can't go for Brim. You can also go for a Fire Shark, but if you don't have any of those left, then you're going to want to go for like a Sunbird. But then yeah, Hephaestus, I already said, it's a hit. They can change the bubble at the same time, so it's just really useful. Next I have 2 fire bubbles. I don't really use my bubbles in my side deck since I have so many in my main deck, but these are really for Jades if they do have a lot of sanctuary, because most of them carry max sanctuary and then they'll reshuffle. So you're gonna need the 2 bubbles in your side deck if you're going up against Jades. Next up I have 3 infallibles. If you have an infal pet, then honestly you probably don't even need 3 infallibles, but I do keep 3 infallibles in case my infal pet isn't casting. So yeah, because you do need infallible for most of your matches, because most people do have a decent amount of resist, especially ices, because they'll have that set resist from the 66 crafted robe. So you do definitely need a TC infals in case your pet isn't casting. Lastly, I have 2 mantles. These are just really good if you're trying to make them fizzle and you're honestly going for RNG, because that's what mantle is. It pretty much makes them skip their turn. So this you usually use if you're just like trying to make them, what I usually use them for is if you're trying to make them fizzle a heal. But yeah, that's pretty much my deck. I also keep in all of my wand hits. These are just for if they like weakness or tower shield and I don't have an elf up, because you can just take it off for no pips. so you'll be fine. I also keep in my cloak in case I'm trying to cloak like a set shield or even stun blocks, because sometimes it makes them think that you're doing the other thing, so that's really helpful. And then you definitely need fire beetle in case they shield and you don't have like an elf on them right now, because it'll give you those 35 traps, which will actually come in handy if you're going for like a brimstone into a Ifrit, because then you'll have a double trap on them and that'll do so much to them. But yeah, that's my gear and deck setup. This video took a long time, so I'm gonna try and like shorten it or something, because I feel like it's gonna be over 20 minutes, which is kind of crazy for a gear and deck setup. But I mean, yeah, if you enjoyed the video and you found that helpful, then make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.